Okay, if you're prepping for the GP AKT exam, you know that the sheer number of drug side effects for rheumatoid arthritis can be a nightmare. So, in this explainer, we're going to build a clear, simple mental framework to help you absolutely master them. Let's dive in.
I mean, have you ever looked at a list like this? It just feels like a giant wall of text. It's totally overwhelming. So the big question is, how do you get this stuff to actually stick in your brain for a high-stakes exam without just trying to memorize it all by brute force?
Don't worry, we've got a roadmap. We're going to start with a framework for learning this stuff. Then we'll break the drugs down into three logical groups: the core DMARDs, the biologics, and then all the others. And we'll wrap it all up with a rapid review that's perfect for that last-minute revision.
Look, the secret here isn't to just stare at a list until your eyes glaze over. It's about chunking the information into sensible categories. By grouping drugs or side effects together, you create these little mental hooks that make it so much easier to pull the information out when you're under pressure. So, let's start with the absolute bedrock, the disease-modifying anti-rheumatic drugs, or DMARDs. These are the workhorses of RA treatment, and you are pretty much guaranteed to see questions on them. Okay, this slide is packed with high-yield info. For methotrexate, just remember three big things. It can suppress the bone marrow, that's myelosuppression, it can damage the liver, and it can inflame the lungs. For sulfasalazine, a couple of things stand out, but the one that screams exam question is Heinz body anemia. And then there's hydroxychloroquine. If you remember one word for this drug, it should be eyes. The big one here is retinopathy. So let's cut right to the chase. If you're short on time, these are the non-negotiable pairs you have to have locked in. Methotrexate goes with myelosuppression, sulfasalazine with Heinz body anemia, and hydroxychloroquine goes with retinopathy, which is so important that it requires regular eye exams.
Okay, let's add one more common DMARD into the mix, but as we look at its side effects, I want you to keep an eye out for an overlap, a connection to a drug we just talked about. So here's leflunomide. Its side effects include liver problems, high blood pressure, and, there it is, interstitial lung disease. Does that ring a bell? And boom, that's it. This is such a powerful way to learn. It's all about pattern recognition. Interstitial lung disease is a known issue with both sulfasalazine and leflunomide. If you can group them together in your head like that, you're much less likely to forget. Right, let's move on to our next group, the biologics. Now, for your exam, you should think of these as the drugs with the really specific, really high-stakes side effects. These are the red flags you absolutely cannot afford to miss. Here we have three of the big TNF-alpha inhibitors. Take a close look. Do you see that one critical, potentially life-threatening side effect they all share? This is a massive topic for the AKT. The number one association you have to make is that TNF-alpha inhibitors can reactivate latent or sleeping tuberculosis. This is exactly why every patient has to be screened for TB before they can start one of these drugs. If you see TNF-alpha inhibitor in a question, your brain should immediately scream TB. Now, a couple of other biologics to quickly mention. Rituximab is famous for causing infusion reactions while the drug is being given. And if we go back to etanercept for a second, it also has this unique additional risk of demyelination. That's damage to the nerve coverings. It's why you'd be really careful using it in someone with a condition like MS.
All right, let's tackle our final group of medications. You can think of these as the supporting cast. They're used all the time, but their side effects are just classic bread and butter exam material.
First up, good old prednisolone. The side effects of long-term steroids are something you should be able to list in your sleep. You've got the Cushingoid features, like the round face and weight gain, the thinning bones of osteoporosis, high blood sugar, high blood pressure, and cataracts. All classics.
Now, for a couple of older drugs you might still see questions about, gold and penicillamine. Notice what they have in common. Proteinuria, that's protein in the urine, a sign of kidney trouble. But penicillamine has this extra, very specific risk. It can make myasthenia gravis worse. That's the kind of detail that makes for a great exam question. And we can't finish without mentioning NSAIDs like naproxen. They're great for pain and inflammation, but they come with two huge risks you need to know. They can trigger bronchospasm in people with asthma, and of course, they are notorious for causing stomach irritation and peptic ulcers. Whew, we've covered a lot of ground. So let's boil it all down into one final consolidated review. This is the slide you want to have burned into your memory right before you start your exam. Here it is, your ultimate cheat sheet. let's run through it one last time to really lock it in. Methotrexate goes with myelosuppression. Sulfasalazine, Heinz body anemia. Hydroxychloroquine, retinopathy. Leflunomide, interstitial lung disease. All the TNF-alpha inhibitors, TB reactivation. Prednisone, Cushingoid features. Gold and penicillamine, proteinuria. And finally, NSAIDs, peptic ulceration. If you can master this list, you are in fantastic shape for this topic.
So let's end with a final question to push you from just knowing this stuff to actually applying it. Looking at that list, which of those side effects isn't just a problem to keep an eye on, but a flat-out medical emergency that would make you stop the drug immediately and get help urgently? Thinking at that level is what's really going to make the difference.